We all love the sound of money, and a $1,500 sign-on bonus sounds even better. That's right, Belicio Foods of Jackson is offering a $1,500 sign-on bonus to new employees. Receive an extra $100 your first 6 weeks, then $400 after day 90, and $500 after day 180. Don't wait. Apply online at beliciofoods.com/careers today. That's beliciofoods.com/careers. Come work for a company who truly values their employees. Come work for Belicio Foods.
Show some love for the graduating seniors in your life with custom-made gear from Zip Printing in Jackson. Yard signs, banners, screen-printed t-shirts, and more. Zip Printing can do it all. Visit yourtotalmedia.shop to browse all of Zip's gear to show your school spirit for the class of 22. Zip also has everything you need for graduation parties like custom photo cards, invitations, and napkins. Call 740-286-3023 or find them on Facebook at Zip Printing Signs and Marketing.
Well, happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the morning show right here on Main Street TV. And of course, Jennifer here to start off your morning with a good friend of the show, our municipal court judge, Mark Musick. Your Honor, so lovely to have you here today.
Well, good morning. I was like coming over. I haven't been to the new studio before, but
I know you haven't been here yet.
It's really beautiful.
Well, thank you. And it's always a pleasure to have you here on the show because we always get to talking about all kind of fun stuff, don't we?
We do. We probably get off on a tangent today.
Well, we tend to do that. But so he and I both decided that we're blabby and blabby together just is double blabby. So here we are.
Okay. We're here. We're here and ready to enjoy it.
So, municipal court judge, and, I was just thinking about it. I wonder if can you just explain the difference between like the municipal court and like the common pleas court and the different judges and things within the area? Because I'll bet a lot of people don't understand that.
We have a lot of people whose first names start with judge and they have different functions.
Yeah, for sure.
One way to think easily about me is I'm the traffic court judge.
Yeah.
You
get the speeding ticket.
Get all that speeding and DUI or OVI driving and so on. It starts out that way. We have jurisdiction over all criminal misdemeanors, low level, I guess they call them crime.
Mm-hmm.
And we do the preliminary workup to see whether there's going to be bind over to common pleas on some felonies. The ones that the prosecutor brings to my court from an instant filing. So,
sure.
Yeah, he can do a grand jury, which is a longer process. But if they want to arrest someone, they file a municipal court version of the felony.
We just kind of had an instance of that here in town that was pretty high profile that
yeah, I was kind of,
I think everybody knows about that fella ended up in front of you, but then we'll probably move on to another court, I would guess.
I think he's set for preliminary hearing Monday, which could go forward, or if a grand jury meets, it could go that direction and be dismissed at municipal court.
Okay.
We dismiss a lot of stuff that way, felonies, and it's not that we're just throwing it out the window.
No.
But it's going on through the process.
It moves on to someone else, maybe to Judge Regan or somewhere else. So.
And a lot of prosecutors will tell you, if we have a felony charge and a person is bonded out, there's not really a lot of point in going ahead and putting on evidence in the preliminary hearing, because the preliminary hearing is designed to justify whether we're going to continue holding that person.
Aha.
So,
but if they're bonded out, we don't have to deal with that.
If they're bonded out, it doesn't make a lot of sense for the state to have to put up all its evidence and give all that free discovery that this might not be ready yet.
Right, for sure. So then you move on to then the common pleas court would be Judge Regan.
Judge Regan.
He hears more of the felony counts.
He does.
The crazier stuff, I guess, or the higher up charges.
We hear civil stuff up to $15,000. He hears civil stuff beyond that, and then he hears the serious or the felony charges. Sure. Mm-hmm. And he does a lot of other neat things too, but those are his biggies. And Judge Skaggs at probate juvenile,
Right.
he also he has a very different function, but in looking after children's issues and so on. But he also has been active in hearing cases on any adult who's harmed a child. So, and he has criminal jurisdiction too.
And that would be a rough one too. Ooh.
Yeah, it's a rough court.
Yeah. Yeah, the juvenile court, they're also the probate judge. So then you get into, probate deals with like someone's estate and whatever, which, shall we say, can get rather
It can.
gray or foggy.
I always enjoyed it because I always had nice families. There was and Diana Morris worked in that area for me and managed that beautifully for years, and we never had any problems. She knew her forms, which it's all strictly filed by Form 1, Form 2, Form 3.
Yep.
And nothing. We had one family from another county that hired us, and they were just so busy fighting with each other. Diana fired them.
That's pretty bad, isn't it?
I got back to the office and she said, "You just fired this family from this other county." So
listen, I mean, if they can't help themselves, you can't help them, right?
That was pretty much it.
Yeah. Heard. That was back in the lawyer days of Mark Musick, right?
Right.
Well, very good. Well, so I just thought that was an interesting thing to kind of like maybe talk about the different courts here in Jackson County. And I mean, it's the same throughout other counties as well.
It is. They're all three very busy doing different things. And sometimes there's handoffs and transfers. And
sure. Lots of communication in between.
There is. There's more and more and more of that. And Supreme Court, I'll mention, really, the Ohio Supreme Court really enhanced our abilities to do that. You really need to probably bring a camera and come up and look inside the municipal courtroom now, because when COVID struck, the Supreme Court gave out all this grant money, and we had to spend it on high-tech stuff. And we did. And it's the courtroom of tomorrow. It lets us communicate with inmates in other jails.
Okay.
Very nicely.
So you don't have to worry about transport and that kind of stuff, too.
It's part of the jail problem.
Well, and we're going to get to that in here in just a minute.
As a preview into that, other jails don't have to do what we want them to. We're pretty much begging for space. Mm-hmm. So there's a couple of male facilities and female facilities that say, we don't want to mess with this camera system for you guys. So they don't.
Okay.
So we have to go up and get them and bring them back. So that's the way it is.
Yes.
So big trips.
Yes, and expensive.
They are.
Trips, especially with gas at $4.50 a gallon or whatever it is.
$4.59 last night, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's not a good thing.
But we got a lot of neat things. We have, I call it a fully transparent courtroom. We have big TVs on the wall.
Okay.
And courthouse called and said, "Why does Judge Musick need two big TVs?" And I told Derek to tell him, "Well, we're going to watch the World Series and the Super Bowl."
I like it.
And of course, I'm on TV. He would be mad that I'm even joking about that. But I was. They don't have that kind of hookup. But what they do, they allow everyone in the courtroom to see the journal entry that's being concluded line by line.
Right.
All bargaining is done in the courtroom. No more go back to the jury room and make your deals or side conference room. We want the lawyers and the people out there in the courtroom doing, if they're going to do bargaining, they can do it right there. And we have a record and everything's recorded.
Super, yeah.
And everybody in the courtroom now can see the journal entries that close the case.
That's cool. So even if you're not sure what's going on, then you become part of it.
You can sit there and read it.
Yeah, that's really... Mm-hmm. Because sometimes sitting there waiting for your own case to come forward is a bit. Well,
people want to compare about how they were treated versus someone else too. So they want to make sure there's some equality of how things are met out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So people like it. We're still getting everything to work right, but it's coming.
Fancy. We're fancy here in
Well,
Jackson County.
none of your tax dollars were spent on this. This is
Nope.
stuff.
Hey, it was money that
50%.
was given to you and you have to spend it. So
I did.
so
I
it's
did.
like I got to do something with it.
Well, we bought the stuff that we felt we were supposed to. So
Good for
a
you.
lot of software, a lot of enhanced communication stuff with the state and other agencies, Supreme Court.
Very cool. Well, I think one of the best things that you've done under your tenure as judge is certainly the drug court. And if anyone wants to argue about that, I'd be very happy to take that on, because I think that it's been such a fantastic thing that you have implemented, and you've done so with a lot of the help of a lot of people.
A lot
And
of partners, and you and Jamie have been some of them.
yeah. And so everyone deserves a second chance, right? I mean, as far as I'm a second chance person, some people aren't, but I feel as if everybody deserves a second chance.
In small town, you kind of hear things, and there are folks out there that have said, I kind of like Mark, but I really don't like his second chance programs. And when you know
I would
it,
disagree with that.
well, guess what happens? Within a couple of years, maybe somebody in their family needs a second chance.
That's right.
Small town.
It's so super easy to be judgy when you're not put in, no pun intended, when you're not faced with that scenario. And, we all should be more empathetic.
I don't hold their original view against them. They don't understand.
No, I know.
They don't understand. But
It's like someone saying we don't have drug problems and whatever. Until it personally affects you, you don't understand. And that's totally fine.
when you get a call that your ideal adult child is in the back of a cruiser on the way to jail, you have no suspicion, and you've done everything right, and
Yeah.
it still goes south.
Yeah. And it's the scenario that you see every day, I'm sure. And, and sometimes the second chance programs don't work, but at least people have been given that opportunity to help themselves.
James and I talked yesterday about some of the things I could do, but I wasn't able to get them done. I did bring some notes on the drug court that we've had 185 total participants come through.
Yes.
And what I decided on success or non-success is there's varying degrees of it.
That's fair.
We have folks who maybe don't jump on the track of the life we designed for them in drug court, but it's America. And they might still come out and drink alcohol or smoke marijuana, but at least maybe we've got them off the opioids.
Right.
And
We're not shooting heroin into
Right.
our arms. So
Right. We see big improvements and then growth over time beyond that.
Sure.
So I'm not necessarily satisfied with that, but
Hey, you pick your battles, right, Judge?
yes, you have to, and you have to move on. So out of the 185 people that have been through the drug court experience, only 2 of them have died.
Wow.
One in drug court. Well, the other's still in drug court too, but sad cases both. But
And you have to wonder, how much difference did you make on the lives of those, 183 that are still with us?
sometimes we don't know.
We don't know, but I would have to think that that's a pretty good statistic.
We've got some people who've rebuilt their lives beautifully
Oh,
with some of our drug court partners. And again, I'll have to say, you and your spouse are important in that, because some of our important graduates have worked for you for years.
yes.
And love you to death.
Amazing. Well, I am just, we're all human beings and we all are the same. And everybody deserves a chance. And, some of the best human beings that I know have come out of your program. My favorite people in all the world.
We've got some people who, I routinely, sometimes police kind of point and say, hey, look at this guy or this gal. And Chief Hinch did a few years ago, and had a guy in his holding cell, and we sent that guy through the program. We sent him to Florida. He came back. He did, let's call it 2 years postgraduate work up here with us.
Sure.
He finished. He got a really hard job. They loved him. Very yes, no, black, white type guy at this point. And once he's sobered up,
Yeah, sure.
and he's in their management team now.
Isn't that amazing?
Mm-hmm.
So it can be done.
There's
It's
a
just
lot of neat stories.
yeah, absolutely.
And then the sad ones too,
Yes. But hey,
like anything else in life.
again, you have to try.
Some of our early successes, I think, when we first came up there in January 2008, we had a lot more jail
Has it
space.
been that long?
Yes.
Oh my
Forever.
gosh. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Should I tell myself?
Wow.
But we came in kind of with a roar and wanted to do stuff.
Yes.
And we did stuff. The key thing
Sorry.
is we had jail space then,
Yes.
after I cleaned it out from other things. But no, we had some space. And what I want to talk about today is the linkage between jail space and success in treatment and combating and prosecuting the drug problem.
Okay.
That you can't, we're at the point that we can't be effective as we need to be without that tool. In recent couple of years, you see comments here and there that, what about that turnkey jail? What about that turnkey judge? What about those cops that just let them go? Well, there's no room at the end.
Right.
The state won't let us take them. And so a lot of programs kind of, I just made some notes. What do jails do? They protect people. They protect the public. They protect individuals. They deter crime. But they promote incentive to come to court,
Sure.
to go to your treatment programs,
Yes.
to appear at community service in exchange for not having to do so much jail.
Right. Or money.
Or money, or pay fines. You can work your fines or costs off, obey TPOs and CPOs and all that stuff. But if they all know there's no room at the end, so they all know there's no reckoning for that. So, jail's the common hinge to all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we got 40 male beds and spaces that we rent from the neighbors, I guess, only their neighbors 200 miles away.
That's the problem.
That is
Huge
a big
problem.
And I think I
Or
just
part of.
pulled a day from last week. We have the 40 male beds filled up. We're probably over that limit by 10. So there's 50 guys in the jail that day. 0 female beds, of course. Out of county, we had 11 females and 2 more guys, plus 22 people on the ankle bracelet for a total of like 95 people
Okay.
for that day. But key is we only have a certain size out of county budget and only so much to spend on those out of county beds. So all the people that need to be under control, I'm not saying even punished or whatever. Some people out there need punished and we got to get them in to serve a sentence. But people that you just have to have control of are not all in there because there's no place to put them.
Right.
So get that point in.
Yeah, no. And I think that that's a fair point because I think a lot of people, again, with no empathy, because you haven't been put into the situation that you all face, law enforcement, the judicial system, what you're facing, you have to pick and choose who goes to jail and who doesn't. And you're right. Like, I feel like a lot of times you're putting somebody in there to protect them from themselves. Or
There's
to
a
at
lot
least
of that.
like just keep an eye on them.
Oh, I can think of half a dozen cases right now where if we could have successfully got a person jailed, they would have been protected from overdosing that night.
Yep.
Probably can't think of half a dozen right this second, but I feel like there's that many.
Sure.
I can think of a couple right off the bat. But and then again, other things go wrong in getting them locked up and detained. But there's a body of people in Ohio that want to decriminalize all drug offenses. That's just dumb, because there's no, I'm sorry.
No, that's good.
There's no compulsion to do treatment. I mean, they won't go treat. They want to stay on the drugs. These are very alluring drugs.
Yeah, I mean, you do the drugs because they make you feel good or feel something, and then you get addicted to it. And I mean, you're not going to just stop miraculously unless forced to.
That's right. We've rewritten our bond schedule locally after maybe 2 months of negotiation between agencies to reflect what we can do, and without giving away the key to the
We don't want to tell all our little secrets.
We have significantly had to limit some of the things we do. I guess I could say that, but we'll still come find everybody in each category. But we do have a priority of pickup, and sometimes the people who are their own criminal victim rank pretty low on the pickup. So we've tried to create systems where we pick them up on a Tuesday morning, and by Tuesday afternoon we might have them in a rehab.
Okay.
So sometimes, though, unless they've stayed a night or two, they don't really feel that incentive to stay, and they walk away.
Right.
Which is a key to Medicaid. Medicaid's paying for that rehab.
Okay.
And it's just the way it is. They walk away. Sometimes we get them down there, and we can't take them. They're too far gone. You've got to dry them out. Well, I have no place to dry them out.
Right.
It's sometimes they're medically not fit to be in the jail.
Well, and that's the problem too. And I don't think a lot of people understand that some people have consumed so much that they can't just be thrown in there they'll die or something horrible will happen to them if medical treatment isn't sought.
Well, when you got people that keep shooting in the same hole over and over and over, it doesn't get better.
Right.
And there's always a ticket to get out of jail, but they're also in danger of losing limbs and what have you.
Sure.
So
there's that medical aspect of it too, that you have to, you didn't sign up to be a doctor, but you sort of have to be one.
I've had to listen to a lot of other people doctoring that tell me what I can and can't do. And we'll see where the next generation takes us, but all I know is Jackson County is at a crossroads, and we need to pay attention. The jail we have is a maximum style security jail. It was kind of like Little Lucasville.
Okay.
And, the fellows that built that jail did a good job. They wanted to build a secure facility that bad guys weren't going to break out of.
Sure.
And they did. They accomplished their goal. But then I don't think they could have predicted changes in society.
No, yeah, that's tough.
What we need now is dorm settings to hold a lot of people.
Okay.
And until we get there, we'll never be able to hold the numbers we need to. And just regular crimes going up too. Law enforcement will tell you that. The regular crime, though, is often linked to drugs.
Mm-hmm. So theft or robberies, burglary, anything like that, a lot of times is linked.
I maintain about 99.9% of all theft is drug related.
Yeah.
And it's just not hard to see.
So let me ask you this. This is on the subject, but kind of not. Where is this drug problem? And there is a drug problem, so let's not argue that point. Where is this drug problem going? Is it getting worse? Is it staying flat? Are we getting better, worse? What are you seeing?
Well, we prepared some. I don't know what style they're going to be presented, but I sent them to James yesterday. So you can
Excuse me.
share with your audience a year-by-year breakdown with a lot of information in them.
Okay.
And I'll skip over the bond schedule, and they kind of look like this per year. And it tells you, the fellow at the court, Mr. Ward, made this, that in 2010, and these are our safe numbers. These are identified, verified, and confirmed.
Yes.
We have another list, a bigger number
Yes.
that maybe is not quite so confirmed. So we try to go in hard concrete. But in 2010, we can confirm 8 drug-related deaths. And he's got a lot of facts there. I don't know if you're ready to show that, James. Could you show?
You didn't send me that.
Oh, I didn't?
No.
We thought we did. I'm sorry.
You didn't send me anything.
Did Keith Ward send you anything?
No.
Okay. He tried. He tried. But
Well, that's all right. We can talk about it.
It would have been neat. I had a picture.
Yeah.
But you see, we had he's got the 20 years old was the youngest one. The oldest person that year was 61, and had an equal split between males and females.
Oh.
Under the age of 30, drug-related deaths, which he's counting something a little different. Another death there. But basically, he did figure out every 46 days there was a drug death in 2010. Now, your question was, is it getting better?
Yes. That was my question.
Well, let's jump.
I knew he'd come prepared with all these stats.
I don't know. We'll just run through the years. 2011, the safe number that when you're not speculating is 10. 2012, 15. 2013, 11. 2014, 13. 2015, 15.
Oh. We're not going in the right direction, Judge.
2016, 19. 2017, 22.
Whoa.
2018, 38. 2019, 25. 2020, 20. 2021, 58.
58.
58.
You think COVID had something to do with that?
No. Well, what COVID had to do with it was it kept everybody in isolation.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Depressed and
there was
not being able to be checked.
Yeah. There's a lot more freedom to violate your rules. So,
which also goes back, in my opinion, to the fact that the drug court helps and works.
We believe it does. In that year, in 2021, the youngest death was age 4.
4?
Yeah, and the oldest 63.
Well, a 4-year-old doesn't OD on purpose.
No, but I think the issue might be there that there were areas that might have the illicit substance might have been accessible to a child, possibly. But that was 80% men, 20% women.
Wow.
It was a bad year for us. So. And
that's the most recent.
Well, actually, I have more stunning numbers than that 58. This is this year. We're not done with this year, right?
No. We're not even halfway through this year.
I just want to show you I do have names and data on the 2 lists of people I carry with me. In 2022, we've had 15 so far. Now, what I want to show you next is we've started what we call an overdose list. And, excuse me. The overdose list is a list submitted by law enforcement agencies that basically count squad runs or someone they pick up in the alley with a needle hanging out of their arm.
I see.
And the overdose list for 2022, I don't have the count here, but you can look at certain dates like 2/24/22 and also 4/24/22 and see the name of a person ODing. Then later in the day on 4/24, that person OD'd a third time and died. Well, these are clues. The overdose list is a clue.
Wow.
So what I'd like people to think about is what probation does is take these clues, and when I say they know who's running hot and who's about to blow up,
Sure.
and they got to have a jail bed, that's what they're looking at, is something on the order of that.
And and again, this isn't to punish someone as much as it is to protect them from themselves.
Well, protect them from themselves and others,
And
because you're talking about contaminated syringes. And
oh my.
syringes just tell the whole story. But there's 2 or 3 other predictors on this overdose list for that period too. But the other main point about this year is, there's 17 deaths this year, 15 of which have taken place since April 22nd.
Wow.
So think about that. Today's May, 15th, 18th? Since April
Not
20,
even a month?
about a month.
Yeah.
It was, when I counted it at one point, it was about a 3-week period, 24-day period.
What on earth?
Well, that kind of tells you a couple of things, that there was probably some highly toxic drugs in the area and being sold. And I think law enforcement is working on tying it together on who brought what to who. And
I see.
I think they're going to maybe make some more prosecutions. Yeah, I stopped. I get this everywhere I go. I stopped at the gas station on my way here and got asked about one of the recent deaths. And this businessman used this fella and said how talented he was. And
Yes.
his crimes were all against himself.
Yes.
And it's really sad.
Yeah.
He was a talented worker, and other business people like him. And this fellow sure did and wanted to let me know. And there's some criminals on here, and there's some people who have done some criminal things with drugs.
And listen, there's not one of us sitting in this room today that haven't made some bad choices at one time or another. And, sometimes we make worse choices than others.
You ever think about how you'd like to have those choices back sometimes?
Wouldn't you? And, you think, okay, somebody, some people have made choices to go down the path of drugs, and that's a choice and it's a consequence in which you have to deal, but it's not so easy to just stop. So,
well, that's the tough thing. Actually, the fellow that I was asked about at the gas station,
yes.
He wanted to be off drugs. I know he did. He came to we have an after court session on Monday afternoon.
Yes.
They call it after court. And Karen Hood at Spectrum runs it. And it's an hour for people who are seniors or people who've graduated. They can come back and back and back.
Yes.
That guy that I was asked about at the gas station did this for 5 years.
Yes.
Or more.
He tried.
Up through COVID.
He was really trying.
And he wasn't facing criminal consequences for not going. He kept going and going and going. The criminality all expired. Sure. And it's just sad that, you see a guy fighting back.
Yeah.
And still go down.
Yeah. And you hate that.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
So tell us a bit about what are you hoping for the jail?
Well,
what would you like to see happen?
Personally, I have my picks, which would include a community alternative sentencing center called a CASC, CASC. There's
Okay.
one at Batavia that operates in a wing of the jail. There is another one, but we looked at that model, and that is so far off the mark that we don't.
I don't think so.
We don't want. It's up north, and we don't want to operate like that. But no, the CASC statute is really designed. You don't have to have it in a jail. You can, but you can use an old building. You can rehab a building and use that. And we looked at that primarily. That I'd love to see a CASC and with jail cells appended to them,
Okay.
or next door or something.
Kind of a hybrid.
Well, the Medicaid subsidized treatment centers, we have people walk out of those after they sober up, and they think they're kind of away, and that we can't find them for a long time, and they go back to the life. But
Sure.
a CASC would be more difficult to walk away from, and all the treatment time we've invested is not going to be lost.
Okay.
Because I call it walk across that red line, you walk from CASC into jail. Don Willis calls it, he's got another little phrase for it because it's not a red line, it's a firewall, but yeah. But I'd be perfectly happy with a jail. There's some sentiment out there that people are just kind of tired of hearing about the treatment word. Well, they can be tired of hearing about it, and we'll do a jail, but we've got to have a place to put people.
Sure.
To me, the smarter play is to go for the treatment center, which we could have had up and running at one point before COVID, right before COVID, about $4.5 million. Jails are tens of millions.
Yes.
So I guess the smart play again would be to do the treatment center, because you will create, if you run it as a county, you'll create an income.
Sure.
As a provider, you will be managing the Medicaid so that you can defray the cost of operating jail cells.
Right.
So while you have a body of people out there, no, tired of treatment, want it to be a whole jail. Okay, but you're missing that money from the treatment side.
Sure.
So treatment side can't operate without a jail side, so I think they're together. At this point, though, I'd take Army cots. We've got to have a place to put people.
Yep.
And we have an ability to put everybody away that we need to for even short periods. And I've said many times, what 1 or 2 female jail beds available in the county would do for us. It would just be great.
So let's talk about that for a minute, because Jackson County notoriously has no place to put females. And while we'd like to think that no girls are doing anything bad out there, girl power, there is a need. So what do you do? Why do we not have a place for women, and what is currently being done?
Well, back when this was designed at the turn of the millennium,
A few years ago.
It wasn't foreseen that you would have that much female perpetrator activity. They just didn't see it. Honestly, as a young lawyer, I never gave a lot of thought to it. I wasn't a planner.
Sure.
I was a defender. But nobody saw that coming. None of us saw the peak in the opioid crisis coming in the latter part of the first decade of the millennium. I kind of blame myself. I kind of should have, because some of the kids would tell me about, there's this new thing out there and it just makes you feel so good. And I steal so much, it gets me in so much trouble. And, you try to get them to stop doing that. And you would try to look around for treatment centers for them to try to mitigate their situation to the court. They didn't exist then. They didn't exist. And I remember Athens Mental Health Center, they weren't in that business. Mm-hmm. So it grew.
And that's a whole other thing. So you have these mental health facilities, But then there's also drug rehab facilities. A lot of those probably go hand in hand because I do feel like a lot of folks try to numb their mental issues with drugs.
You do.
So that's a whole vicious circle too.
Dr. Gay, who was with HRS, he's retired now, but he would always say, well, we started with the opioids and people were trying to get that down feeling,
To calm down.
euphoric
Yeah.
state. And meth started catching on, and it was kind of like a crazy, higher buzzed level. And I said, why are those opioid people going after the meth? He said, it doesn't matter what direction they go in, they want to escape.
Yeah.
Okay, I can buy that.
Yeah. That's it.
Sure. It's and that's what they have to treat is that want to escape. But there's I don't know, there's a little article on our Facebook website if anybody wants to read it. We set out 13 reasons. I stole the title. 13 reasons why jails are hard for us to create a hard issue for us. How people get out of where they should be at times or need to be. So a few people read it back at the time. I read it. Not many.
So you can find that. So is it possible to get this cask created?
Well,
What do you have a plan?
That's the key issue. I think the legislature says to our county government, bring us a plan. And I'm working with a lot of the guys who are really more in charge of that than I ever would be. Judges don't build jails, but they are trying to decide how they want to put this plan together. And my position is I'll support any plan.
Yeah, anything. Anything's better than nothing.
Anything that creates a bed. And I think some of them want to too. In our proposal, our cask proposal, we don't talk about any additional tax because if you can get the thing up and running with a low amount of grant money, you can do the Medicaid thing. You could do a bond if you had to, but you could pay it back with Medicaid money and hopefully could avoid any tax altogether. Now, that's not my area, but that's my hope, and that's why I've went about it the way I have in pushing the cask.
So whose area is that to decide?
Well, how the plan that would be submitted, I think ultimately would be the Board of County Commissioners.
Okay.
And
so again, everybody having to work together.
Yeah, and they're all active on the cask committee, and
sure
they come and help. And COVID really knocked us on our butts.
Really, like in way more ways than one.
We were so close to at least having a plan that Governor DeWine liked. And he liked it, and his people were indicative of, well, we got the money. That was 9 days before COVID.
It's just horrible timing.
Yeah. Well, we've come close to the mark a couple other times too. So the thing changes. Public sentiment changes, but we still have the same growing number of young dead people. And I guess I wanted to kind of hit big with that 58 last year.
I mean, we went that's like going from 0 to 100. I mean, we went big.
And so
last year
at 15 right now, I don't know where that puts us on pace mathematically, but I could see where we could have 50, 60.
Yeah.
Hopefully not. But again, we never know who they're going to be. And we don't need any more. We need to put an end to it and the crime that it gives rise to. So I suppose I just have to insist to do that. And I think other people in the county would tell you, without a jail, we just can't do the job we want to do for the people.
Yes.
The police, the sheriffs, they're all wonderful. They work. They solve the crime.
Yes.
They grab the bad guy.
Yes.
And we're ready to go off to the hoose gal, and there's no hoose in the gal,
Yeah.
or whatever. So you can't.
Then it's like all for nothing, and you just have to turn the person.
Well, I think they feel that way. It's very
loose. Yeah.
discouraging to them.
It would be discouraging when you go through all of this work and the physicality of it and the paperwork and all of that, and then nothing.
When probation goes out and they bust a drug house or whatever, one of their houses, and one of the people on probation on, and they arrest 4 or 5 people and they take them down to jail, and they're booked in. People get mad when they see those same people out in a few days because we don't have space to keep them.
Right.
And I don't blame them when they get mad, but
Yeah.
Basically all we've done is got those drugs and those syringes, but they'll go get more.
Right. They found them once, they're going to find them again.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
Yeah. So I think we're both fighting pollen.
Yeah, I know. Oh my goodness. I said yesterday, if anybody has a solution to this, we had a doctor from Holzer on yesterday, and she just said same thing. It's just between the allergies and it's just a mess.
Yeah.
We're all a mess.
I've
We should all
experienced some of that.
go stick our heads in the ocean somewhere for a minute. Hey, beach vacation. Let's go.
Let's go down to Naples and check on our people we've got down there, how they're doing.
I think that's a fantastic idea, so we can be working.
We're about 102 of those folks now.
Wow, really?
Yep. Jackson Countyans living in Collier County, Florida.
Isn't that wild?
Kind of, yeah.
But you also think that's 102, hopefully, that aren't going to OD tonight.
Most of them are pretty set. I have a guy I tried to get to go down there for about 10 or 12 years. He had a nickname, Dead Guy. That was his nickname. I don't know, the people his age called him that. And he would come to jail a lot, and I would try to say, come on, why don't you try a program? Why don't you try Naples? And that went on for 10 or 12 years. Not interested. I want to get out and go back to my township, live in the trailer with my aunt, and live life. Well, one of the Hopewell counselors who had been on for a short time, who's very popular with that age group, he's been with us a while now. He's really great. He suggests to the Dead Guy, "Did you ever think about taking the judge up on his offer to go to Naples?" Well, Dave, I believe it will. So he goes down. And yeah. Okay.
Finally.
Yeah, somebody struck a chord. It wasn't me.
Yes.
And he's been so successful. He's got a super job now, and a side business. He has a side business detailing cars.
Wow.
And it's so successful where he was doing it before came against him and shut him down for 6 months on a non-compete agreement. There was a 6-month non-compete agreement. He had to stop.
Oh, oops.
But he's got back on track. Then he got hired at a dealership, and what he does is he restores the interior of cars as part of the cleanup. What do you call it when you clean up a car?
Like a restoration?
Yeah,
or
restoration and
Wow.
clean up. And I don't think you'd believe me if I told you what he makes. Hired by the dealership.
That's awesome. That's great
And
news.
he's about to get married, and he's been active in the church down there. And it's not just one church, by the way. There's 23 churches that band together, so you get to pick. It's not cultish or anything. So.
Love
Judge,
that.
I just got an email from Keith Ward, so I have your PDF now. If
Oh.
you wanna maybe, if you want to maybe go through this again, we can show it up on the screen, and you
Okay.
can see it on the monitor.
Yeah, I
behind me.
think he thought it went through, and I'm sorry it didn't. Yeah, that's the first one up there for 2010. In 2011, I guess if you want to flip through them, get down to 2021 and stop there maybe.
And as you can see, it just seems to increase just a few every year, but we're going the wrong direction, Judge.
Right, 38, 25, and 58. And that's where we were in 2021, I think. But,
Wow.
we've done the work. I think we're missing, if we added the ones that are not totally verified right now, we'd add another 30% maybe.
Oh,
to
wow.
the-
That
yeah.
much more.
Oh yeah, there's names on there that I know should be on that list, and we're just keep working to get what we call verification.
Now, would that be people that passed in Jackson County? Would that be Jackson County residents?
That's a good question, because everybody in the state counts differently.
Sure.
We count people who are residents here, no matter where they die.
Okay.
We count someone not from here who dies here.
Okay.
And we look at that sort of thing. So if we have a connection to them, we put it in the list.
Okay. Well, that's 58 too many last year.
Right. Sure.
Not okay.
No.
So how do you feel, what in your utopian society of obviously getting rid of drugs would be fantastic, but let's not all be so naive to think that that's ever going to happen. So what do you think the best method to the madness is? This treatment center and jail and the beds and all of that?
Yes, because you cannot walk away from it.
Okay.
So many guys have told me, Judge, I've been in jail 6 weeks now, and I really hated your guts when you put me in there.
Well, of course.
And yeah, well, it doesn't faze me.
I don't think you really care,
No,
but,
I don't. But
I'm sure they did hate your guts at the time.
But I woke up Sunday, and I decided I don't hate your guts now. I appreciate you locking me up. I'll stay here as long as you want me to, and I'll go wherever you want me to go. So I get some of that.
Okay.
And, it just demonstrates the benefit of the jail. Right on.
Yep.
You can't get that kind of starting run without a jail.
Right. These drugs are stronger than any will of any human could ever be.
Stronger than any rocket fuel.
Yeah, they're insane.
They are. And I just none of us ever dreamt we'd be confronted with a thing like this. And I remember back when I was running 2007, they asked me, do we need to build more jail? And I said, no, we need to use the jail we have differently.
Uh-huh.
And for that year, at least that was I think the correct answer. But over the next couple of years, things sure changed.
Sure.
So that's the story on the jail. I just, whether I'm the judge or someone else is the judge, or it's another judge, the police need to have the tools to do whatever the remedy is decided to be. And generally, nowadays, that's going to involve some jail for some people.
Uh-huh.
And if you don't have that kind of control, you have nothing. So, for example, the ankle monitors, if someone is drug dealing or drug using, what does an ankle monitor help me control that person? I need jail.
It doesn't.
I need to have them in jail. And I think a lot of people agree with me.
Yeah.
So that kind of is my sentiment. And I don't know what else to say to the public other than look at the numbers. And I hope that the public will be supportive in some fashion in the future if it's offered, and I hope it is, some form of a jail.
Yeah.
Like I say, Army cots in a field. Whatever we can get approved.
Anything is better than nothing.
We've got to make some strides.
Is there hope for this? I know you said pre-COVID we had it almost ready to go, and then...
I don't know what Governor DeWine ultimately would have done, but he seemed so close. He seemed so ready. We were contacted on a Thursday and asked to be up there on a Monday, and we went. And his director of criminal justice programs told us he loved it. And frankly, it's in an odd place in the code. And the fellow said, we didn't know this was here.
Leave it to you to figure it out.
Donnie Willis and I found it. And it's actually in the commissioner's materials.
Okay.
And so many of the expensive jail requirements don't apply.
Gotcha.
So That's how you get one up and running.
Gotcha.
And legislatures have told me if we need to tweak the statute for our needs, that could be done. And I believe them. So that's in an ideal world that would happen. I do think there's hope for, if not that, a jail. But they don't like, government doesn't like mixing its money.
Sure.
DRC, Department of Rehabilitation and Correction money, those people don't like to mix it up with OMAS, Ohio Mental Health and Addiction Services money. Right now,
Which is so strange because it does all tie kind of together. Goes,
Yeah.
as we said, round and round.
Well, a lot of forces out there don't want it to. But I will cite an article for anybody who wants to read it from 2007, June 16th, 2017, from the New York Times by Samuel Quinones, who does a study of a jail in Covington, Kentucky, that the jailer, they're elected down there, has created the treatment method.
Okay.
So it's a 2 or 3 page article, but you can get it on the internet.
Sure.
It's Quinones says, our biggest asset is something we're overlooking, and they're called jails.
And you say, yeah, that's what I've been saying.
Well, again, the drug is sexy, the drug is alluring, the exotic, and the folks don't want to give it up. So they walk away from the treatment much of the time when they can. When they can't walk away from the treatment, it kind of works better.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I sometimes send them 1,500 miles away to the Florida coast. Works better.
It's not as easy you don't have as many friends down there, do you?
We do now, by golly.
Well, bad friends.
Oh,
to
they
find
don't
you.
have any
Yes,
friends.
that's what
yeah.
I mean.
Well, what they do now is, though, when you get off the plane, we can fly you down there for $45.
Sure.
I haven't seen one since the fuel probably went up, but you are met by your 5 next best friends for the rest of your life. And if you're from Jackson County, there's probably 1 or 2 in that group that's coming to get you.
That's right.
Yeah. So
Good peer pressure.
yeah, it is, and that's how that system works. I've seen it, and they kind of work out of their dining hall. They have tables of 6 people, and everybody's got a job, a head and a foot and whatever, a waiter, and they rotate, and they talk about their day's activity all day, and they do self-correction, gentle self-correction. So that's kind of worked miracles.
Hey, it makes sense. Peer pressure can work both ways.
Yeah, good peer pressure, as you say.
Yep.
So I hope I answered jail questions and treatment questions, and I'm sure I didn't say something that should have been said, but again, we've got wonderful people that work in the system. They all want to do so well. Their hands are so tied for lack of stuff to work with, being in
Right.
jail. It's just not fair to the entire county.
And just in I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but just talking to folks in law enforcement, I know how frustrated they are by some of the, they have to follow the law, right?
Yeah, they do every time.
And I mean, it's you can't be a police officer and not just make up the rules as you go. And so I know some people get frustrated with, this, that, or the other, but they're following the law, and they can only do so much, and you can only do so much. As you said, your hands are tied.
All the way up to the planners, commissioners, they only have so much revenue available
Correct.
to them. So when they're making,
Which is never enough, by the way.
Yes, there's never enough. But when you're making plans and you can only move your elbows on the table so far, it's kind of tough to make the grand design.
Sure.
And we've just tried to suggest things that make any design more feasible.
Well, I love it. And thank you for continuing on with the work that you do. And thank you for your service to our community and your wonderful staff as well. And we greatly appreciate you spending your morning with
Well,
us.
thank you for letting me talk so long, and thank you, James, for getting our stuff through, and thank you, Keith, for sending it.
Yeah.
Now.
Hey, we got it. Just took a few minutes.
Yeah. And I'm sorry I didn't check to see if it went yesterday. It was getting late there.
Hey, we're all
It
good.
was
No
a
worries.
last minute thought. But, okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Judge. Judge Mark Musick, of course, for coming in, spending the morning with us. We greatly appreciate it. And since it's at 10 o'clock, we're going to get out of here for the day. We hope that you've enjoyed our discussion. I know that I have.
I always enjoy it with you.
And well, thank you. Same, right back at you, buddy. And we'll be right back here tomorrow. So thank you for tuning in. Guest tomorrow.
Phil's going to be here for a news update tomorrow.
Newsman Phil tomorrow. So we'll have a news update then. So have a great day, and we'll see you back here. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.